I sometimes get contacted by small business owners, startups, and non-profit organizations to say, Katlego, can you help us put together a business plan? Because we are not sure about the type of information we need to collate to you for you to be able to complete this task. If you're going to need to approach a bank or an investor to request for funding to fund your project or to fund your startup or even expand your existing small business, you are definitely going to need what you call a business plan. Bagaitsu, dumelang. Hey guys, welcome to this edition of the Balcony Dialogues, TBD. My name is Katlego Khositlou. We are in episode 11. A compelling business plan will clearly articulate what your business is all about, what your products and services are, what your competitors are, what is your value proposition, which is your unique selling point, what are the resources you're going to need and the skills for you to be able to compete, your marketing plan, and financial projections. But for you to put all this together, you need to start somewhere. So what I always do is that I start with what I call a business model canvas. I've put together this video for us to unpack what this business model canvas is, what are its 9 building blocks, and expand further in terms of detail and give you like practical example of how can you use it for your business. This model can be used by any other type of business, whether it's a small, medium, large, listed, or even non-profit organizations can use it. You can use it as a guiding principle to your employees for them to understand exactly what your business is all about, what your model is all about, what your pricing looks like, what are your value proposition, what makes you stand out. This is literally one-pager document. It's written in point forms, no paragraphs. You can then later, after you've completed it, explode it into a business plan document with paragraphs and explaining further in detail with what your business is going to be all about. I have earlier alluded to the fact that the business model canvas consists of 9 building blocks, which are customer segment, value proposition, channels, customer relationships, revenue streams, key resources, key activities, key partners, and cost structures. So we're going to now be unpacking all these, like poke into each one of these, explain them further for you to understand them easily, as well as giving you practical examples of what does each one look like in real world. The very first one is customer segments. These are the people that you create value for, right? Some people call it target market. So it speaks to who are your key client groups. Are you selling to low income earners? Are you selling to middle income earners or the middle class? Or are you designing your products for high net worth individuals who want quality, of the highest value, who want the best service ever, and are willing to pay any price for them to acquire or have your product or service with them. You could be a B2B or a business to business. You could be in the business of creating products and services and selling them strictly from your business to other businesses, which is called B2B. You could also target a sub-segment. So you could be targeting married couples. You could target university students. You could target single moms, for example. So customer segment is all about who are you creating and delivering value to. The second one is value proposition, which I like to call your unique selling points. This speaks to how are you going to compete in the market? How different are you to your competitors? What sets you apart, or what makes consumers to prefer your service or your product compared to the guy next door? Often this is linked to the problems and solutions. So you would have identified what the problem is or the gap in the market, and then you come up with solutions to say, okay, here are the pain points in this particular market, and I'm going to be delivering these type of solutions for me to capture the existing or potential customers. So this is where stuff like your designs, your customer experience, the speed of service, customer service, and experience would be. So if you look at the balcony dialogue streetwear, our value proposition is around making sure that we have variety of designs for our customers or potential customers. We place customer care at the center of our business, as well as quality. We make sure that we design quality, we sell quality material, variety of designs, while at the same time we're targeting the middle income earners. The third one, interestingly, it's a link between the customer segments and the value proposition, which is channels. This one I like to call it route to market. You would have created value for your customers and identified who the customers are. In channels is your route to market. How do you get your product from your shelf to the customer? So this speaks to, are you a brick and mortar business where customers has to walk into your store and look at your products? Or you are heavily in the business of e-commerce where customers interact with you through online platforms? They could also engage with you through social media. Or you can even have a mix. You can have a mix of a brick and mortar and e-commerce, because then it means the customers can, a customer who prefers to walk in and do the fittings can actually do that, while a customer who prefers to just sit on their couch and order their products and you deliver would get their needs satisfied. So this is where the how sits, right? The fourth one is customer relationships. I've spoken about the different types of customer or customer segments, right? In as far as customer relationships is concerned, different customers expect you to communicate with them in different ways. I'll give you an example. If your product is very technical and need assembling, you'll need to put together a document that guides them on how to assemble the product. If the product needs to be installed in a certain way, you need to guide your customers that this is how you install the product. Or even send a technician to walk into their house and be able to assemble the product for your customers. Does the products or the service need personal assistance or self-service? So can a customer on their own service themselves to the product? Are there clear instructions? So I spoke about the balcony dialogues streetwear. It needs to also articulate how does the customer take care of the product for them to enjoy it. So stuff like they shouldn't iron on print, washing instructions. Basically, how are your customers will know how to use the product for their benefit. The fifth one is the revenue streams, which is very important. As a business, you need to know how do you capture value? How do you derive your revenue? Say it could be a mix of ways, or it could be either or. So revenue stream speaks to, are you selling a commodity where your customers pay for the product or the service and then that's it? Or you own an asset that you are renting out to your consumers and then they pay you a rental fee on interval basis, which is commonly like monthly. Are you deriving your income from subscriptions? Where, for example, in our YouTube channel, we want people to subscribe to our content. So subscriptions, for example, in the case of YouTube, could be free, or could be in a situation where your subscribers or followers are paying a fee to fund you and you give them exclusive content. You could also be doing online monetization, where you create content and then social media platforms pay you a fee. You could also derive income from licensing fees, where you design a product or a service and then you sell a license fee to someone who's going to be distributing the product. Right? So for them to use your product, they have to pay a particular fee, which is licensing. You could also derive income from advertising fees. So on our online platform, the Balcony Dialogue podcast, we could actually ask corporates to advertise on our platform if you have a large amount of subscribers, where corporates can advertise on our platform and they pay us a fee, which is advertising fee. So those are the types of revenue streams your business could undertake. But as I'm saying, it's not cast in stone that we are going to stick to one particular revenue stream. You could actually use a mix of both depending on the type of your products and services. So interesting enough, I want you guys to pay attention to customer segments, to value proposition, to channels, customer relationships, and revenue streams. If you look at all these 5 building blocks, they speak to one thing consistently. They are centered around customer. Now we're going on to jump onto the 6th building block, which is key resources. This is not necessarily about the money, but it's about the actual resources. So think about a physical equipment that you need. In the case of TB, for example, for printing or for sewing, in order to make or design our products. So that will fall under the key resources. So key resource, it's not just about a tangible product. It could be an IP or intellectual property, where It's a secret ingredient of how you make and deliver your products. It could be about the skill or the know-how of how you're going to use that to compete in the market. So key resources is linked to number 7, which is the key activities. So key activities could be stuff like your marketing plan. So these are the things that you do for you to realize your business objectives. So it could be stuff like your marketing plan, your activations. This could be like your supply chain and logistics activities. How do you get your products? Or what are the things that you need to do so well to get your products to your customers? So this could also be like your production process. What are the steps you do for you to produce the quality product your customers desire? The 8th one is key partnerships. So this could be like your key suppliers, because you need to maintain relationships with these people. So this one I like to call it key partnerships. I like to call it like your key stakeholders, because suppliers are very important. If they can't supply you with raw materials, it means your production is going to be delayed. So this could be like also your strategic alliance, joint ventures with other entities. Investors could also be your key partners. And the very last one is the cost structure. This one I like because your pricing is reliant on you understanding exactly what your cost structure look like. If you don't understand your cost structure, it's going to be very difficult for you to price your product such that you get much out of it. So you need to know, what are my fixed costs? What are my variable costs? So fixed costs is stuff like your, let's say, rental. Your fixed cost could be maybe subscriptions to apps, your website cost, which is fixed over time. Your variable cost would vary based on the quantity you produce or the quantity you buy. So I spoke about the Balcony Dialogues streetwear, right? My variable cost could be the number of t-shirts I buy, if I buy in bulk, or it could be the number of t-shirts I print at a time, if I'm using someone to print for me. You also need to know your economies of scale, because it's going to help you in terms of how can you save or cut costs. So economies of scale always says, what discount are you getting if you buy more at a time than buying one? So it could be a thing of, if you purchase 100 t-shirts, you get a 10% discount. And then if you buy 1,000 at a go, you get a 20% discount, for example. So it's very, very important as an entrepreneur for you to understand your cost structure, because that is how you're going to be able to do what? To price your products accordingly without having to compromise by either overpricing or underpricing your products. So yeah, this is the business model canvas. You guys can see it's in point forms. You don't go at length and explain paragraphs as you do in a business plan. The other important thing, this is not a business plan. This is a business model. That's why earlier I said, once you have this visual, it's easy for you now to say, okay, I have this snapshot. How am I going to explode it and expand it into a business plan topic? And sometimes it's just a summary as a guiding principle, either to your employees, or an investor may not have time to really dwell into reading your business plan because it's a whole lot of text with a whole number of pages. They might literally look at this and say, this is interesting, before they could actually look into your business plan and your marketing plans and your financial projections. So yeah, that's why I keep saying that this is a foundation. According to me, it's a foundation of a compelling business plan. So if someone was to come to me and say, I must help them get together a business plan, this is where I would start. I would ask them questions around all these 9 building blocks, and then from there we take this and then we put it in a large document with long pages, and we expand it further in business language for it to make sense. So yeah, I really hope you... The very last thing that I really want to do is to thank every single one of you guys that have subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you haven't, please do the right thing. We can only improve the content and the quality of our delivery for as long as we get your support through subscriptions, comments, likes, and engaging, so that we can also get motivated to give you the content that you desire. Thank you guys so much. Pula.